Hey guys, welcome. Doing a little bit of cooking. I'm gonna make a porcini pot pie here. Some really good stuff going on. I got a whole bunch of bacon rendering down, and I'm about to drop my veg into my bacon fat and then put a whole bunch of porcini in and then turn that into a pot pie filling. So here's the pan that I cooked down all my porcini in. So here's what the mushrooms look like. I cooked them down. Now I'm rendering out the bacon fat, and I'm going to put whole onion in here. Let that start softening up just a little bit. I'll turn my heat back up here. I do most of my cooking on Instagram, but I didn't feel like it today, so we're here on TikTok. If you want to see more cooking from me, definitely check out my Instagram, because that is where I've done most of my live cooking. But I'm doing some stuff here on TikTok now because, why not? So here's my bacon that's rendered down with the onion. And I've got a bunch of diced pumpkin, carrot, and potato here, and that will all go into my pot pie filling. And then a whole boatload of porcini, because I got a whole bunch of different, I got king boletes, queen boletes, and leccinum in here. So these are all my cooked mushrooms. And I'm not using a ton of meat in this, but I am using bacon fat and a little bit of actual bacon ends, because it tastes really good. So it's going to be majority vegetable and mushroom, but there's still some meat, and that's okay. I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan. I like meat, but it's good to eat less of it than you might otherwise. So that's part of what I'm doing. I am making a mushroom pot pie. That's what's in the works here. So I've got all my bacon and onion rendering out here. I'm gonna go in with some garlic. It's gonna start to smell real good here. Boom. Put that in. I'm gonna grab a bay leaf too. Let's see if I can actually reach to get a bay leaf. Yes. Okay. Can do that. I got a couple of guys out in the yard, so I want to go out there and get some thyme, but I might give them a minute or two to finish doing the stuff in the yard. So here we go. Here's our bacon, and there's our onion. And we're going to go in with our veg. So here's our potatoes and carrots and pumpkin. And I'm going to add a nice healthy pinch of salt right now. And just toss all this together to kind of just cook these through just a little bit before I add my mushrooms in. And then I'm going to bring the liquid level up. I've got some porcini stock that I had frozen in the fridge from last year. And I've got some roux, which is like a mixture of flour and butter that I cooked down. And that's how I'll thicken this. And I'll probably finish it with a little bit of heavy cream. But I'm going to let this all cook down here for a while, because these root veg need to get nice and soft before I can actually put a crust on this kind of thing. I think what I'm going to do is, rather than make a giant pot pie in this pan, is I'm actually going to make this essentially like a gravy or a chowder, and then I'll spoon it out into smaller individual portion sizes and put puff pastry or like a biscuit on top of that when we go to eat it. So it's kind of be more of a stew, but that's basically what pot pie is. It's a stew that you put a pastry on top. So would I date a Maori? Sure, why not? I lived in New Zealand a couple years ago. I really like Maori culture, language are really awesome. I was not very good at pronouncing Maori words. I need some practice. So, but yeah, I learned a lot of there's some in New Zealand. It was really cool because there was Maori names for a lot of the mushrooms, and so it was fun to try to learn those. It's in America too. We have a lot of native names for some of our mushrooms too, and it's important. No, Rocket Garcia, I am not going to post a recipe. I post recipes on my Patreon for people who request them, but posting recipes is a lot of work, and it kind of weirds me out on TikTok that everyone just assumes that the chef owes you a recipe. I mean, you're watching me cook right now. This is my recipe, I don't cook with recipes. I'm not working from a recipe. I'm just working with what I have in the fridge. So I never cook with recipes. So I think it's better to learn how to cook and the basics of cooking, the basic methods, than it is a recipe. because a recipe is just like a list of ingredients. It's better to like learn how you put all those ingredients together, and then you can swap out the particular ingredients, you know, for a particular recipe. You just cook with what you have on hand. And I think sometimes that's the best thing you can do. So I have some bay in here. I'm gonna go in with thyme and some dill, pretty classic flavors with mushrooms. I might go outside and get a rosemary sprig too. Just put all the good herbal components in here. So here's some thyme. It's just dried thyme. I can adjust these seasonings later too. I just want to put some good amount of, you know, good herbal flavors in here now. So we got all the beautiful bacon is rendered out in these onions, and we have these potatoes and pumpkin and carrot. I'm going to go in some frozen peas too when this is all said and done. But it's that very colorful fall stew that will become a pot pie. So, yes, of course I've had enoki. Enoki are great. The mushrooms we're cooking are, well, I cooked. Oh, you're fine, Rocket Garcia. I wasn't trying to yell at you. I'm just like, you know, the recipe thing is funny to me. So these are porcini. There's king boletes, queen boletes, and leccinum in here. I've done videos on all three of those mushrooms recently. So, yeah, Rocket Garcia, I totally agree. I like recipes are a great way to get exposed to new stuff, especially from like cultures or areas you don't necessarily understand the food. And recipes are a great way to like introduce yourself to some of the methods that I was talking about. Like, again, I come from a place of like taking it kind of for granted that people know how to cook, because I've been cooking for so long and like doing it for a lot of my life. I had like a Chinese babysitter when I was a kid, and I learned a lot about like cooking and food from her, and my dad cooked a lot growing up, so I saw him like try out a lot of different kinds of recipes and stuff like that. And so it's I shouldn't be mean to people who ask for recipes, because they just want to engage, they're just interested, and I should always encourage people, you know, much like Remy from Ratatouille, or, you know, everyone can cook. Everyone should cook. Everyone should learn how to cook, because it's a phenomenal skill. It's a really good thing you can do for yourself, for your family, for your livelihood, for your health. You know, it's incredibly important to like learn how to make your own food, and you can eat much more healthily. You know, this is a lot of stuff that are from my garden. These are porcini I foraged. I did put some bacon in here, but it's not a whole lot. It's like, you know, probably the amount of bacon that one big guy would eat at breakfast is what's going into this like massive pot pie of all the stuff that's going in here. So, yeah, I'm just letting these get cooked through, get a little bit of caramelization on them. I want to put just a little bit of brown on the pumpkin and the potato and some of these components here because the mushrooms are pretty wet. So once they put the mushrooms in, they're probably gonna soak up the rest of the fat and the other stuff. So they'll I'm just letting the veg get a little bit of a brown on it before I put it in here. But oh, Amy, you found your first matsutake today. Congratulations, that's awesome. Did I pre-cook the potatoes? No, I normally would, but I think because I'm going to be kind of cooking this down as a stew for a while, that the potatoes should have time to cook through. And, you know, maybe I should have. Maybe the potatoes, I should have microwaved them for like a minute or two. It's usually what I do. But these are pretty small potatoes. I cut them into smaller pieces too, so I think they'll get cooked. And or, you know, the potatoes will be the limiting factor on what I'm cooking here, so. It does smell super good. Yep, the bacon and the onion and the herbs and all the veg smells really fantastic. It's making me think of fall right now. And, you know, mushrooms and bacon and onions, it's hard to go wrong. Hard to go wrong with that. Okay, so it's all looking pretty good. I think it's about time to dump our mushrooms in. So these are mushrooms, I pre-cooked them. I like doing that. I like to pre-cook my mushrooms before I put them into a dish, and that way you're sure that they're cooked. And they got their own special attention. They need more heat than everything else in this pan. So if I tried to cook the mushrooms after everything else was in the pan, the mushrooms wouldn't be done enough and everything else would be overcooked. So I cooked the mushrooms for a good like 20 minutes before putting everything else in the pan, and now I'm bringing all the components together. There we go. So it's nice and gooey. Lots of good components in there. And I've got this porcini stock. Let's see, what else do I want to do though? I'm gonna get some sherry to put in this. Sherry is delicious, so let me put that in. Oh, 5 matsutake, congrats. Amy, one of my favorite things to do with matsutake is to slice them relatively thin and then tempura batter and fry them. And they're really, really good that way. So, I wouldn't say that fungi are superior to any other organism. I think they're more fascinating than many other organisms. Life isn't really about being superior to each other. Life is just about life. And everything's part of a greater whole. So, I wouldn't, I'd rephrase what you're thinking about superiority there. You know? I don't think anyone or anything is inherently any better or more valuable than anybody else. That's a very capitalist type of mindset there. Favorite way to cook honey mushrooms? I usually like to boil them. That's my first step, and then I'll put them in soups, stews, and stir fries. Okay, so we're putting a lot of porcini in this, so I'm also going to put a whole bunch of porcini powder. So this is just dried powdered porcini. Big old jar of it here. Going with a little bit of Tony Shishiris just for a little bit of a kick. Alright. There we go. Everybody's looking so good. Okay, so I'm going to hit this probably like a 1/4 cup of cream sherry. It's got a nice sweetness to it. And I'll let that alcohol cook off for a sec before I add the broth. So this is like a porcini stock that I made from last year and I had in the fridge. So I'll just pour this in. Tastes very much like porcini. I'm going to try to leave some of the junk in the bottom there. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. Put a little water in there. This is how we make sure all the potatoes and the carrots and stuff get cooked. We're going to let them just kind of boil here for a little bit. And I'm going to go into the roux, a little bit of cream, and then it'll be all finished off and ready for me to top with some puff pastry or like a biscuit and bake off as little individual pot pies. I'm going to grab some rosemary too while we're here. I'll be right back. Okay, put a nice fatty stem of rosemary in there because rosemary is delicious and it'll go great with these flavors. I'll fish it out afterwards along with the bay leaves. Sometimes it's easier to just leave your spices whole when you put them in something like this. I'm kind of curious. Like, almost want to put a little bit of allspice or a clove in here just for that little background hint of something. I think I'll put a couple allspice berries in.
Is it TikTok or Instagram?
It's TikTok.
Hi, TikTok.
Hey TikTok, say hi to Jerry.
Hi. I get to eat this tonight. I'm very lucky.
Okay, so this is boiling away. Just make sure our potatoes are getting cooked. It's a good thing. All the mushrooms are delicious. This is already pretty thick. I don't know how much I really need to thicken this, but I will thicken it. I think the pumpkin in there is cooking down in a way that's helping to thicken the sauce, which is a good thing. So here's my roux. This is flour and oil, butter that was cooked down, and this is what you use to like thicken gravies and stuff. And I save this because cooking roux can take quite a while. It can take like upwards of like half an hour to 45 minutes to an hour to get a nice kind of chocolate mocha colored roux like this. This is a part of Creole cooking. Roux is a fundamental part of when you make like a gumbo or a jambalaya kind of thing. You need roux. It thickens, but it's also part of the flavor, a big part of the flavor. And so if I took just raw flour and tried to put it in here, it wouldn't work. The flour would clump up. But because I've cooked this flour down, it has browned up, gotten really nice and toasty, and now I can add it, just kind of like this as a thickener, and it will severely thicken the sauce like a gravy. So that's what I want. I want this really nice thick mushroom gravy to go with my pot pie. And I'm just going to see how thick this gets before I add more roux, because there's not actually that much liquid in here. I'm going to add some more water here. Okay, so here's our water. Let's see how thick it gets once it boils here for a second. It's already pretty thick, because I think the porcini kind of does its own thickening, which is good. So in theory, I didn't really need to add gluten to this. I could have made this gluten-free because it was already kind of thick enough. But I like the roux because I want the flavor. And I'm going to put a biscuit on top of this anyhow. I could have put like a gluten-free biscuit or a puff pastry or something on top, but I'm not gluten-free, so I'm not going to worry about it. But you could, Steaming matsutake over rice. Yeah, Amy, if you go to my Instagram, I have a whole recipe for making matsutake gohan, which is like a one-pot rice dish with matsutake. It's a really good recipe. It's actually in the new Fantastic Fungi cookbook. So, oh yeah, this is gonna be real good, real good. I'm also gonna finish this with a bunch of peas, because peas are great, and I need some green stuff in my diet. So. Nice and thick, really good stew. This will be excellent with pot pie. Yeah, the matsutake gohan is a really relatively easy recipe because it's all just kind of cooked in one pot. I did mine in my rice cooker. Just got some fish and some pickled ginger and some sake and stuff like that. And it's really good with matsutake. I don't know how old these peas are. They kind of congealed into one gigantic mass. Yeah, I did find them in the very back of the fridge, so I'll use it. Oh, okay. Well, I sent peas all over my kitchen. That's fun. Grab these. Okay. I'll put more peas in here. Green stuff. Don't forget to eat your green stuff. You can make it taste better than you think it will, you know. In fact, you can make a really delicious soup out of just peas. Take a whole package of peas, put them in a pot with a little bit of onion and garlic, cook them down. Add a big scoop of creme fraiche, and just blitz the whole thing, and then like finish with a little like tarragon or lemon juice. You'd be amazed. And actually, my secret weapon when I make that little pea soup is put some miso in there. It's really savory, really creamy. It's excellent. I'm dropping peas all over my kitchen here. This is probably enough. Probably enough. All right. Are you doing aerial or anything tonight?
Yeah.
You are? Okay.
I think.
At 7?
Well, like, I asked my dad if I could go.
Cool. Well, here's our mushroom pot pie. This is pretty much it. Now I've got what I'll do is I'll ladle this off into a little like individual sized ramekin and put some puff pastry or biscuit on top. And then yeah, we'll have it. So I'm gonna go ahead and taste this. I just turned the heat off. I want to make sure my potatoes are done and the carrots are soft, and that this has enough salt, because it probably needs some more salt. Okay, let's give this a shot. See how it tastes. Ooh, it's really thick. It's a great texture for a pot pie. All these porcini, a piece of potato, a piece of carrot. Make sure these things are all cooked enough. Yep. Carrot's good. Time is it? About 6 p.m. Okay. No, the potatoes need to cook a little bit longer. The person who told me to pre-cook them was totally right. I should just microwave them for a second. No, it's okay. I'm not done yet. I need to add cream. So I want this to be a really, really creamy pot pie. So I'm going to go ahead and add some cream. I'll just let this go another 5 minutes or so, let the potatoes get more tender. There we go. Now we're talking pot pie. And we'll just let this thing continue to kind of cook through. It'll be really, really good. Of course, I'll finish with some more fresh herbs and some fresh cracked pepper, all that kind of stuff. But I'll put a little more salt in too, because it can always use a little bit more. Oh, it's so good though. The flavor is so concentrated. Yum, yum, yum. Put just a tiny splash of Worcestershire sauce in here too, just for a little extra zing and umami flavor. Cool. Here we go. Here's our mushroom pot pie. Ready for topping and ready for baking. Ooh-wee. That'll be really good. Cool. There you go. Pot pie done. Finished. Yes, I'm on the West Coast. I live in Napa. Yep. Anyhow, there's my pot pie. Looking pretty good. Very excited to have that for dinner. So, anyhow, hi guys, it's Gordon. Appreciate you watching me stream and teach you how to cook what I was making. If you want to learn more from me, please check out my website. It's linked in my bio, fascinatedbyfungi.com. I have an FAQ section where I answer a lot of your common questions. I have an About Me section where you can learn about me. I have a mushroom discount section where you can get like discounts on kits and other mushroom goods, including like jerky and coffee and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, please follow me on YouTube. Please follow me on Instagram. I have all the social medias. I do all the things. My website too has cool original t-shirts and merch. So if you like the fungi, you can support me and get some cool merch. So anyhow, appreciate it. Hope you guys are well and have a good night. Bye.